Hi, welcome to Think Human. I'm Chris, and in this video I want to talk about free will and do we have it. So to be frankly quite objective, then there is no way we could really have free will even by definition. So the definition of free will is an agent, some kind of human being's ability to make decisions in the world free of any constraints. And now we know that we have tons of constraints. The way we grew up, our genetics, what happens around us, what song you heard in the morning, what food did you get out of bed with, what kind of face you saw on the street, advertising, whatever, what you saw in your dreams, what your mother did when you were like 2 weeks old, like everything influences us. So it's impossible by definition for us to have free will in this context, at least, in the sense of being free from any constraints. We definitely have a lot of constraints in this sense. But it's absolutely possible to go deeper into this. So we can look at this with a simple thought experiment. So imagine I'm saying to you, think of any movie at all that you can think of. Just pick one movie in your head. And now to make it as free of choice as possible, pick another movie, forget about that one you chose entirely and pick some new one. Okay, you have one movie. So I can ask you, why didn't you think of Lord of the Rings? Why didn't you think of Avatar? Why didn't you think of Harry Potter? And it might be quite likely that these movies didn't even pop into your head. It's possible they did, but if we really had free will, then all of those options, every movie you've ever seen would pop into your head and you would choose between them. But somehow how the process worked is that something kind of just arose in consciousness and you were like, okay, I'll go with this popped into my head. We have no control over that. But then if you ask a person why did you pick this movie, then they have some explanation for it. Oh, it's my favorite movie and I like to watch it with friends or whatever. We have some stories, but really how the process happened, what happened in our heads to get this movie out, we have no explanation for. Yet we think that something is served up to our consciousness and we just go with it, we are the original creators of that. And true again, if we really had free will in this sense, then we would have all these movies in our heads to choose from, but we don't. So even with such a simple kind of thought experiment, we can see that we really don't have any true free will. Now, you could argue, why does it matter? Our brains are configured in a way we just take the easiest, simplest kind of option. We couldn't possibly have all the movies in our heads because that's just inefficient. And fair enough, that's absolutely true. But then the kind of definition of free will starts to really fall apart because, like we said before, we are so influenced by our friends, our social minds, what dreams we have, how we grew up, our genetics, everything. We have no control over that. You did not pick what country you're born in. You didn't pick what you see on the streets when you walk around. We don't choose any of that. And, even that's not to take anything away from us. I think it doesn't really matter because whether we realized free will is an illusion or not, it doesn't sense any experience we have in the world. Everything else is the same. It's the question of, do we live in the simulation? Mathematically, statistically, we might very well live in the simulation, but what does it really change? Not that much in everyday life. And also I would bring up an important point, at least for me, would be that the most important thing, what we have, free will or no free will, whatever that even means, we have the most important thing, which is our experience of the world, our self-awareness, our first-hand experience of pain or pleasure, happiness, sadness. All of this is real and true. Free will being, real or not, doesn't make it any less true that we have these experiences. And these experiences, after all, are the things that matter the most. So, free will by definition, at least I would tend to go into this group of thinking that it's not really possible in any real physical sense. You couldn't make a physical system that would be free from any constraints. So just some thoughts about free will. I hope you got something interesting out of it, and thank you so much for watching. Take care.